Good evening, and welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the talk show, the think show, the feel show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so-called African American didn't find his way to America in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, the Indigenous One. And tonight we're joined by Deborah, Oklahoma. She's going to explain to us what the breath of life is, how we are the breath of life, why we are the breath of life, and what we should be doing with this breath of life. As usual, I'm gonna get the information just like you. I'm gonna jump in every now and then, but I'm gonna let this sister speak. Hear out what this sister got to say. Deborah, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, and you a little pissed off, perturbed, but I'm well.
Don't be mad.
I'm not mad, but I'm a little angry.
Don't be.
But I tell you, I really want to start this off with something that's perturbed me because, as you know, we have a calling to the masses right now.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a calling to the masses, and the masses is that those of us who have been studying and been rejected by the masses for the past 10, 25 years are still being called to the masses, that these are the people who are the breath of life. These are the people who the universe are saying, I'm not getting enough of my children's breath coming up here. Not in the universe. So, this global warming really has a lot to do with the Aboriginal people across the planet who are being annihilated or who have been annihilated. And what you see across the planet is, even with Italy, you see this whole part of the land where the water has risen up over the cities. Because what happened? The Jews went to Iberia and those places where the original people had the First World Trade Center. And they wanted that First World Trade Center. So what did they do? They killed off the majority of the men, mated with the women. And that's how you got the Italian to this day. So what do you have over in Italy? Very few Aboriginal people. What happened because of it? A deluge. See, we don't understand that this whole flooding thing that talk about in the Bible, it didn't have anything to do with sin. That's what the people told you. It has nothing to do with sin. It has something to do with, for 5,000 years, they have been trying to wipe us off the planet. And they've been trying to do it gradually, thinking that Mama Earth ain't gonna notice. But oh no, she knows. And she's been calling me and others to come out to the masses and say, okay, now, Chiron has come to you. You know who you are. It's time for us to get to work. The information that I've had to suffer with, and yeah, I got to tell all these chiefs and so-called kings in high places and Indians who think that they're supposed to hold their information because they've worked for 10 and 25 years. And they say, oh, well, I'm not passing this out to them. They didn't come when I called them. Nigga. They didn't come when I called them either. Because they don't belong to you. And they don't belong to me. They belong to the universe. The whole point is that you're supposed to do the work until the time comes. You don't put the time frame on her people. I didn't. I can't. You can't say, well, I don't care. I'm just working for me and mine over here in my little tribal area. You can't do that, or you shouldn't do it. But that's what I get from you. When I call you and say, look, it's time for the masses. We need to come together. You tribal chiefs, it's time for us to unify and come together for the masses. This is what every last one of you has said to me. I worked too hard for 10 years. I worked too hard for 25 years. You think I'm going to share this with them? And every last one of you are womb bearers. What did you think she meant for you to do? Take that information and hide it in your panties? Are you kidding me? What do you think we're going to do? Rape you for it? You out your mind. Well, I've been, let me calm down a little bit.
Yeah, I see you're pissed.
Because they don't get it. They don't get it. Who told you you could get this information and hide it up in your womb? You're not going to give birth to it that way. The only way you're going to give birth to this is it's got to go to the people, because this is who the universe wants. Whether you want them or not, she does. And let me tell you something. If she has to remove you to get to them, then bye-bye. And that's how I feel about it, because they're more important than we are. We are the masses. And when we start thinking that we're the priests and the kings and the holy ones, we're in trouble, because we're not. We ain't special. That knowledge that was given to us and the stuff that we worked for, it didn't make us special. You know what it made us? It made us worker bees. That's what it made us. We need to go to work for the people, because that is what it's about. Look at what's happening in China. This happened during the Black Plague. The plague started in China. It spread across the world. China had a whole lot of problems afterwards. But see, Mama Nature not playing with her. They're flooding. They got more disease coming. 4,000 people just died because of a flood. They're experiencing a deluge. This whole planet is experiencing a deluge. You know why? Because Mama Universe is not getting enough of her people's breath. You know what she's getting? Toxic CO2. She's getting Chinese breath, Japanese breath, Italian breath, and even African breath. And I got to tell you, that is the one people I have not, I'm still confused about them, because I don't know their origin. I know they're not from our bloodline. I figured out every origin but theirs. But yet, you think you're one of them.
Speaking about that, when we talk about the foreigners over here, I find it kind of odd that they're from the other side of the planet. And when you look at the globe, I mean, I know some people think it's flat. I'm going with that as a globe. These people are from the other side of the world. And it seems to me that that side of the world, they've exhausted all their resources. And now they're coming over here on this side to get all the resources. And they've been doing it for quite a while. And what I mean by resources, the people are the resources too.
Yeah.
So why is it, I'm perplexed when you say we have all these chiefs or wannabe chiefs and all this stuff, seeing what's going on with us. Why are they so reluctant to help or use what they have to make us a stronger group of people?
Because it is all about resources. And in my studies and the things that I've talked about, even in my lectures, is that one of the things that our chiefs don't understand with all their freaking information is that this planet is a way station. That's exactly what this planet is. And so now we have beings on this planet that we forgot who they are and what their purpose is. And some of them are here for mining. And some of them are here for mining and to take certain things like gold and minerals to other planets. Now that's the truth. But here's the thing that they don't know about this planet. This planet cannot die. It's constantly replenishing itself. Constantly. So they're not coming here because they don't have the minerals. They're coming here because the Aboriginals are dead. Because they've been whittled down. So they come in here because this right now is the safety zone. You know why? Because the deluge is just beginning here.
So when you say deluge, could you be more specific?
The rising water and the abundant rains have not started here yet. And that's another thing I want to talk to these people these kings and so-called queens and Indian chiefs who think that they don't need the masses. Because let me tell you something, when Mama Earth is cleaning this planet, what do you think is going to happen when this water is up to their necks? Who do you think they're coming? They're coming for you. If you don't believe me, they're doing it in Florida this very day, in Haiti, where all these white people have lost their land by water, so they're going up in the high mountains, and they're taking that land from the Haitians, and the Haitians has nobody to stand for them. Oh, let me tell you something, sweetheart. You're going to need the masses. At some point, you're going to need the masses, and you're going to wish that you had called them in, because they're going to be your saving grace. If you get your shit right, you better believe it. So while you think, I got my own little tribe, it's 20 of us, and, we're going to fish and hunt. Okay, but don't you think these so-called people who don't belong in this planet, don't you think they know that land is preserved for you? They're coming for you. They're coming for you. They're coming for your land. Haven't they always?
Yeah.
Mark my words. And I'm not the only one. Let me tell you something that you need to know about the so-called charter people. And they give this in the Bible. There's 144,000 who has been called to the masses. If you are not one of them and you talking this shit, well, then you're on the way out. Because it's not about you. It's about going into those highways and those byways, and it's about getting them to come home. Did you think she woke them up just to leave them out in the street? No, she did not. It's your job to share that information. Sure, you want to charge? No problem. No one's saying that you can't make a living. No one is saying that you can't do that. That's okay. But you know what? When me and Danielle have reached out to you chiefs and said, you know what? We've got a little organization going on, and we're calling the masses because it's time for them. You guys practically cussed us out and then put it on Facebook how you cussed us out. Are you kidding me? What was that all about? All we asked was if you could come and just talk with us and just sit with us and see how you can put your talents with ours so that we can come to the masses, because it's time for them to come home. It's time for them to come home. I've even had people in our group say to me, we are really glad that you're doing this, because all the chiefs don't have anything to do with us unless they want to sell us something. And that's sad. That's really sad.
Are you finding this is the elder population or the people who have the land? Because I've been told that land is not the problem.
It's the elders.
It's the people that have it.
Yes, and they don't want to share it.
And nothing's being done. I mean, what a waste.
What a waste. They're not doing anything with that land. Wow. Every other nation is coming over here to get land and building industries. Maybe you think that what we want to do is go to them and ask for a job. That's over. That's about to be over. You weren't given that land to sit on it. You were given that land to open the people, to help the people.
Especially with all this that's going on in this country. I just found out a cat I went to high school with. He's living off the 10 freeway in Western, and oh man,
he's employable.
No,
this is a cat that you could give a tent and say, look, you can live in my tent and help me work my land.
Yeah, man, I don't know what to say, because everything is so concrete what we should be doing, yet we're not doing it.
I have to tell this story. When Danielle and I first started, we were so excited. We were like, oh man, look at, the universe, we finally got a foothold and blah, 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 blah. Let's call Chief so-and-so. Let's call this chief. Let's call that leader of land. Let's call this person who's got someone help them get some land, because maybe they're interested in helping our people. So my daughter happened to call a particular woman chief who has some land, and we have been warned that she has other land that she's just sitting on and doing nothing with, and she's hoarding it to make sure nobody else can get it. It's not even her land. She just don't want anybody else to have it. Seriously. And I said, well, so I'm listening to Danielle's conversation, and all I can hear is Danielle going, but if I could explain, well, no. And I hear this other voice just telling her loud and letting her have it. So I said, Danielle, why don't you put me on the three-way? I said, and maybe I can explain to her what we're trying to do. We're not trying to take advantage of her. We just want to give her an idea of what we're doing and see if we could come together as leaders and people who have been given a mandate to our people. This woman told me off from one side to the next. And I said, listen, Chief, I'm not, I said, if you just give me a chance, I'm not upset with you. I worked for this for 10 years. I'm not about to sit with nobody and do nothing. I got my own family. I got my own stuff to do. I'm not looking to help the masses. I don't want to be bothered with them. I couldn't believe someone who calls themselves a chief feels this way about our people. Only that, then she put it on Facebook. Let me read it for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Friends, families, foes, please do not ask me to join any groups. I am busy building my tribal communities, healing campgrounds. I don't have time to chit-chat or listen to anyone's conversation. I've been accused of being angry and can't hear because of my anger. I'm not angry, but I'm fed up with our indigenous melanated people's bull crap. Why would I waste my time on a video chat or a group conferencing with individuals who are not doing anything concrete? I will not contribute, and here it is. I will not contribute the knowledge I've researched for 10 years to assist anyone anymore for free. It's all about business from this point forward. This is what I've been getting from them. It's not about the people.
But isn't that telling us what is that telling us? When a person who's in the I don't really play that chief shit because it don't work. It doesn't work. So when people call themselves that, they're kind of like patting themselves on the back because they, and it's also with the money thing. We think people with a lot of money, they're the saviors. No, they're not.
They're not.
But what I'm seeing all other species on this planet do, they work together as a unit. You can pick anyone: bees, deers, otters, alligators. They work as a unit to help maintain the integrity of the species.
You know why? Now we're talking about rituals. It always goes back to rituals. The indigenous one, always. We're the only ones who is outside of the rituals of this planet. We're the only ones. And now that the universe is calling us to come into our own rituals on our own planet, to rebuild our own rituals, these so-called people with land are saying no.
So why do you think that is? Do you think so they're just pseudo chiefs put there to mislead us? Because the people that I talk to that seem, like we got to do something different. They have the money they have, but it just doesn't come together. What's the problem?
The problem is that they don't know who they are. They know that they're Indians on this planet, but they don't know who they are in the universe. That's the problem. This is why I'm sent to talk about the universe. Because if you don't know who you are there, you might as well forget about who you are here. If you can't function universally, everything that you're doing on this planet is null and void. It's nil. There's a little statement that people love to say, which is, how does it go? If it's something about, what is it? Insanity? Oh.
If you keep doing the same thing.
Right. If
For
you're
no
doing
result.
the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, you're insane.
Right.
Let me tell you something, it's more than true, it's telling. Because the whole point of rituals is doing the same thing over and over again. Let me give you an example of the insanity. So we can get up at 9 a.m., go outside, plant seed, water it, go feed our chickens, go wash our hands. We got a ritual that we do every day. We expect to see some progress from that ritual. We expect to. That's a ritual that we should have expectation every time we go out to do it. We should expect the same thing every time we do that ritual. Here's the insanity. You get up every Sunday, you go to church, you tithe, you expect a blessing. The only ones that's getting the blessing is the pastor. And you still think that if you give your little money, you're going to get your light bill paid. You're going to get this paid. You're going to get a man. You're going to get, and then when you don't, the preacher tells you, don't worry about that. Let Jesus be your man. He going to pay your light bill. Now that's a stupid ritual right there. That's a stupid ritual. That's the insanity. You still waiting for Jesus to show up. After hundreds of years, he has not come to your aid. Here we are. We got chiefs. After all these years, who will not come to your aid. They not. You know why? Because they think they're Jesus. Now they think they have the knowledge. Another one.
Okay, let me just say this. And it's not in defense of what these so-called chiefs are saying, but what they're saying, I do understand. Okay, let's say you had 500 acres somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You need to cultivate that land, so you're gonna need hands. You're gonna need hands to cultivate it. Aren't they saying that? Listen, I'm not gonna go out here and pick up no cats who don't know shit, who don't want to do nothing, who's always them same sorry bastards that's in the city. I can see that. They don't want to bring that to what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that about right?
I would feel the same way.
We have a lot of people, they really don't, they don't
feel the same way. I would feel the same way. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to get that out there because, you know, there are some things that the masses of people, and we see what's going on. Everybody see what's going on, but we're not doing it like we go make them tithes. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And we know that it's not just you, it's not just me, it's not just my next door neighbor. It's all of us. With this ritual thing, there's nothing as a group that we can do to change this around for us.
There's a lot. That's the whole purpose of calling the masses. You know, they call me, they talk to me, they tell me we're ready. We want to do this, and we there's nobody to go to. Listen, there's one guy called me from your show and said, I have a business. And in this business, he said something about how he plows land. He told me, he said, I'm ready to work with your people who have land. I said, well, we don't want to gorge them and charge them too much. He said, no, I'm ready to work with them. I'm ready to work with our people, help get their land done. See, here's the purpose of what we're doing together. Why you have me on your show, while we're calling out the masses, is because it's time now. Sure, there are people out there. Sure, we ran across somebody in a meeting the other day who wanted to fool us and tell us that we just happened to find out he's a Moor. He just want to get information. We've always going to run into those. But we can't stop work just because we're going to run into people who are not right for what we're doing. What about the people who are right for what we're doing?
Right. If you look at what's going on, and you talked about this earlier, these floods in China and all over the world that's going on, the sea levels are rising here. I don't see how we don't see it. What is that all about?
You know, I can't tell you why they can't see it. I really think they're ignoring it,
Yeah.
to be honest. I mean, because it's all over the news. I mean, when we started doing our imprecatory rituals about China, but and it's because we know history. It's one of the things that constantly pops out every day. China is facing a deluge. China is not telling the truth about the people that are dying from COVID. China is not telling the truth about the fact that now they're now faced with the Black Plague also. Those people are dying over there. And if you pay attention, it's all over the news. And that's why China wanted to spread its wings out into America. And that's exactly why the government before Trump was saying, yeah, you can come here. You can come here and rule this land. You know why? Because their time is up. Their time is coming to a close because they're not Aboriginal people. Now, I'm not talking about the Anglo-Saxon because he was put here for a purpose. He can sustain this planet. He can live on this planet, I should say. And people ask me all the time, well, they can't stand the sun. You show me a white person who ain't in the sun trying to get a suntan. They love the sun. They were put here on this planet to do a work. But we have beasts on this planet that have come between us and the Anglo-Saxon. We were supposed to, at one time, we actually were working together. So they don't have the same timestamp as the Jew, the Chinese, the Italian, the Japanese, and I'm trying to think, Genghis Khan, all of them, they all have a Jewish bloodline, every last one of them. Every last one of them, they got a timestamp on them, period.
What do you mean by timestamp? Give me an example, because I don't know.
I bet you do.
When you tell me it, I might say, oh, I don't know.
Okay, in other words, this planet goes through cycles. It's always about rituals. This planet goes through cycles, like a woman that goes through cycles and goes through her period. And there's a time of that cycle where her body must be clean, where they know that this cycle is their time for the planet to clean them off this planet because they're not the breath of life. What have they done since they've been here? They've deceived the planet. They've run pipe through Mother Earth. They've poisoned her and her children. They're trying to put a block to the sun so that their Monsanto seed can live, because that's how they want to live. Their time is up and they know it. And that's why they're working so fast to try to get this new world government up, because they know that if they don't, they're going to be wiped out immediately. Their time is up. That's what I mean by timestamp. This happened during the Black Plague. It was a timestamp. It was their time to leave. And a lot of them did leave. Now we're coming into the fifth world. They won't be in the fifth world, period. Only the Anglo-Saxon and the Aboriginal people will make it through the fifth world.
So why are they chosen?
What do you mean by chosen?
Why will they make it to the fifth world?
Because they were actually brought here for a purpose. That purpose still stands. They were workers and miners.
Okay, I'm about to share something on the screen.
Okay.
And this is Manifest Destiny. Basically, is Manifest Destiny, and this is them coming across America. Let me share this, and I'd like to get some feedback from the chat too.
Okay.
And just show them some things, because I think some of the things you say, I mean, I don't know a lot of it because that's not my field of, expertise. But I want to make sure the listeners get this, because a lot of time we just listen to stuff and rah, rah, rah,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't know what's going on. So check this out, and I want you to make this make sense with what you're talking about.
If I can.
Oh, you will. Oh, you gonna get it. You gonna get it. You gonna get it. Wait a minute. I'm in. Okay. All right. Check this out. So in this picture right here, this is called American Progress,
Okay.
1872. And what it shows you is that the sun is rising where these Europeans are coming from. But if you see, they're killing the land, the animals are running, the people are running away, and they're coming. She has in her hand the Holy Bible. And she also has a wire in her hand. That's the telegraph. And you were talking about earlier about how they're running poles and pipes through America. And they're coming across America just doing their thing. And the people, if you look in the back, you see the people running away and all this stuff, the trains coming through. This is the progress. But the people are being ran off their land. I don't understand how people, so-called chiefs, so-called people who have all this knowledge, these so-called scholars, I don't understand how we don't see this, or we see it, or we're just working for them.
First of all, this picture is perfectly telling.
Oh, her name is Columbia too. And every time Columbia picture comes on, District of Columbia, if you know the rituals these other cats do, you know how they do it. You keep singing to them, you keep worshiping them, you keep amen them. To me, those are the rituals that keep us stuck. Could you get into that too, and why we are the breath of life, and why is all this death and destruction going on all around us? You saw what happened in Beirut yesterday, right?
I did see it.
Okay, so the listeners who don't know, that bomb that went off in Beirut, this is why I tell the brothers who go out with their guns and stuff, dude, these are the people you're going against. I don't think it's a good idea to put women and children in that, elderly, or yourself in that position.
Hold on, I'm about to lose my connection to you. Hold on for a second.
Oh, you cool. But these type of things that are going on now in the world, and our response to them. Are we supposed to just sit around and just wait for whatever happens to us happens? Or are we supposed to be in a ritualistic things, doing things that don't make us susceptible to what's going on?
There's so many answers to that question, and I was trying to think about how to answer it, because the Bible that she has in her hand is really key to what's going on, because like I said, we don't know what's going on this planet. I will tell you that when it comes to the Bible, although a lot of it is our letters from our ancestors, it also talks about the creation. It talks about the creation of Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve were created by the Anunnaki. Don't knock it till you study it, because the Anunnaki have been here. This is a way station that we're on. They came here to mine this planet. They didn't want to do the work, so they created a species from Adam and Eve, from their bloodline and their DNA. And that DNA had a cap on it. I talk about this in my lectures. And that cap on it meant that they could only go so far and do so much. Now you hear me, God, getting ready to have me to go into something else. That Bible is their banner because their creation is in that Bible. It says, if you look at it, they did not come from a womb. Adam was created. The word crea means to be manufactured. Eve came from that man. She was also manufactured. So what they're saying in that Bible is, we're coming. We're no longer wanting to be the slaves to mind this planet anymore. We're coming here to put you in slavery and make you mind the planet. That is really what this is saying. That's exactly what this is saying. And so they're saying we're going to manifest that destiny. And they began to put their rituals in place even before them, because they had already started these rituals on other parts of the planet. Say that again.
Oh, I didn't say anything.
So yes, that's exactly what they're doing. And let me tell you, this is not the Anglo-Saxon who's doing it. If you go back and research history, you'll find that Columbus was a Jew, and they had done that during the Black Plague. This is why other people didn't let them in their political system, because that's what they do. They kill off the Aboriginal people, and other people know this planet cannot operate without the Aboriginal people. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay, so this also represents the doctrine of discovery. The doctrine of discovery says, if you don't accept Christianity, we can rape you, and I'm paraphrasing. You got to read it for yourself. We can kill you. We can do whatever we want to you and put you into slavery. You must become a Christian in order to live on your own land at this point. This is what Columbus brought. People think that it was Queen Isabella. Number one, Queen Isabella did not fund Columbus. Columbus was funded by Jewish bankers. If you look at any Holocaust where you see a movement across the planet where they are trying to put Aboriginal people in slavery, you best believe it was funded by Jews. Just as we see today, what we're going through today is being funded by the deep state. And you hear Trump constantly talking about, we got to get rid of the deep state. Why? Because this is the last continent where they can wipe us off the face of the earth. Because not everybody that looks like us are Aboriginal. They're not stupid. They know that if we're gone, it's over. Really. And so the Chinese, where you will hardly see any Aboriginal people, if at all. Japan, where you will hardly see any Aboriginal people at all. Italy, where you will hardly see any Aboriginal people at all. And you think about it.
Question. This is a question to the ritual, because I want to get this as you're talking about it.
Yes.
You just said the Chinese and Japanese.
Yes.
The African American has more items in their house from those places than they have that they've created themselves, or they built for themselves, or they manufactured themselves.
Yep.
How is that ritual manifesting itself in us? Because we constantly support them. That's the ritual.
Yes.
But they don't support us. That's a ritual for them. How does that ritual work? Because we support everybody and we don't support each other. We're not into that. How does that manifest itself against us when all these things are happening? Does that manifest itself by these brothers going, killing all these people, shooting up the neighborhood? How does that ritual manifest itself in us?
Yeah. I would agree with you on that. It does, because they have no way to go into to participate in the rituals of this planet. They have been part of that manifest destiny, was to keep them out of the loop, not only out of their own loop, but out of the loop of the world. They can't work in it. They can't do, and not only that, they've been given fake diseases to keep them from producing children. So now they can't even enter into that ritual. That Fauci, let's, for example, let's take Fauci. Fauci has put the face of AIDS, HIV, and now COVID on the Aboriginal people. Even in Australia, they're doing that. They actually are saying that COVID is now worse in Australia than it was before. So what's the first thing they did? They put the Aboriginal people on lockdown. They can't come out their house. They can't eat. There are actually white people who are sneaking and taking them food and water, because what they're doing is sealing them in to die, because the World Health Organization had deemed that to be so. So what we see now in our people, they are facing that same seal in. They have been sealed into a perpetual, what's the word I'm looking for? Persistent poverty, persistent poison, persistent lack of job.
So you know, you were talking about the Anunnaki, and I've heard that term before, but I don't know where it comes from, or I don't know anything about it really.
Okay.
So when you said it, so you know how we learn stuff, and I might be in California, learning stuff, and you may be in New York learning stuff, or wherever. And so this is my interpretation of the Anunnaki.
Okay.
Okay. And the Lord God, what I want everybody to do, this is from the Bible, because this is saying what you were saying about they were created.
Mm-hmm.
I was put in our face, but we don't see it. But now you just explained it to me, and it makes sense now. And the Lord God. So anybody who reads the Bible, when you read the Bible, this is chapter 2. When you read the Bible in chapter 1, it just says God. When it gets to chapter 2, God miraculously becomes Lord God.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the problem I have with Christians, because I explain yourself. You're telling me this stuff, explain it. Why did God go from God to Lord God? And Lord is all capitalized. And then I start thinking, well, what's a Lord?
Owner.
A Lord is a warlord.
That's an owner.
A Lord is somebody who everybody hates.
Yes, but the Lord is an owner.
Yeah, it's an owner.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's an owner.
That's why it makes sense then when you say they were created. Then it said, the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall up into Adam, and he slept and took one of his ribs and closed up his blah, blah, blah. He took the rib from a man and made a woman.
Mm-hmm.
But we in 2020. How are the hell we still believe in this stuff?
Because it's been narrated to us for forever.
So, my previous question to you is rituals. And I know a lot of us, we frown on that word. We get scared of it, just like when we hear the word occult. Occult just means hidden.
Mm-hmm.
So when we hear these words, is that part of their ritual? Because we constantly, from this book I'm reading to, the so-called African American has gave this cult trillions. And I'm not just talking in money. I'm talking about ass, cash, and grass.
Yep.
And we wonder why we. So what I really want to know is what's up with the masses of people here when you see that you're in a fire and you keep pouring gasoline on the fire. I don't get it.
Because they don't understand it. Here's the thing about the Bible. It has been interpreted to them by their enemy. Now, someone like me and others like me who will come and tell them it doesn't need any interpretation. It's as plain as the lows on your face. If you can't see that you gave birth to your children, but Adam and Eve actually came from a petri dish, how is that not obvious? They are an actual scientific creation. It's very obvious.
Yeah.
But here's something. Here's the thing. Is like you said. You need to inalienably human. You're absolutely right, because in my lecture, in my lecture, I talk about people who have experienced the Anunnaki, and the Anunnaki has left messages, and why Trump is doing what he's doing right now. Because he's given them a timestamp. Again, you got this much time to clean up your shit. See, he's cleaning the swamp. That's his mandate, is to clean up his people, his swamp. So he's going to them. These people are murderers, child molesters, bloodsuckers. Some of them are literal vampires, like the queen, who's gone now, because she was part of the head of vampires. They were literally and killers of children. I mean, they were just some of the most wicked beings on this planet. So Trump's job is to clean that up. Here's what's happened to us, because this is where he's wiping out their so-called manifest destiny, their destiny to take this planet and kill us. He's helping to get rid of that. Now, here's the thing. What is that gonna what okay, let me go back to that. Let me go back to your 1 hour thing. They have X amount of time to clean up their shit. And if they don't, they will be annihilated. But what the annihilation is that the planet is going to go through some huge purging, not by their doing, but by Mama Earth's doing. Because you have to understand, the Anunnaki comes from the universe, and they know Mama Earth, and they know that she's getting ready to purge this planet.
Well, how do we know? Because we obviously don't know. How do we know? Or how should we know?
Well,
what are the signs given that we should know? Because
believe it or not, they're in the Bible. That's the other thing that I was going to in the Bible. And my daughter said this. She said, "Ma, are you reading this Bible? This shit doesn't have to happen." No, it's a setup. It's a setup, because here's what we don't understand about us. They tell us everything they're going to do. And we go, "Oh, this is prophecy. I can't wait for it to happen." No, nigga, you're supposed to say no to that shit so it won't happen. You have the power to stop this. That's why they've got preachers out there telling you, be prepared. So when you see this, you know that's going to happen. And when you see this, that's going to happen. And then they're going to break that seal, and then they're going to open that seal, and all these niggas, because they love the supernatural, which is no such thing. They love the supernatural. So then when they see it, they go, "Oh, you know, my pastor was right." No, but the universe is sending you people to tell you this is a hoax, just like you were told. You can stop this shit. You can narrate what goes on your planet, but you don't.
So what does all this have to do with CERN? How does that CERN thing play into everything? That thing that they're doing in Switzerland or whatever, they take in those. I had a guest on a couple of weeks ago that was talking about that CERN. Are you familiar with that?
I am not.
This is why the communities have to be built, because there's so much information out there. You can't hold it all. I can't hold it all.
Yeah.
It needs to be all hands on deck. And we think that we can just, man, NBA season just started back. Let's get. We have all these people who are into this bullshit, and we can't pass on information. We can't build anything because everybody are doing these rituals for them. Do you see that? Do you see that?
Yeah, we talk about that all the time, and even in the group that we put together, that you came to. Well, you're part of the Masses group with the organization. We talked about how Danielle Naniwaya and my daughter and I started doing rituals, and we started doing it on Facebook, and we started doing imprecatory rituals, and we did those on Facebook. And so what happened was, all of these so-called leaders on Facebook are doing rituals now, but they don't understand what a ritual really is. They think that if you, like, for instance, one said, we're going to go get some cow tongue, and we're going to do so-and-so, and we're going to come together for the 4th of July, and we're going to burn this weed, and we're going to burn that weed, and we're going to jump up and down. After it was over, they talked about how chaotic it was. Well, first of all, a cow is not indigenous to this planet. Why would you use a cow tongue? You don't understand the rituals of your own planet. I mean, we're walking into, like Stevie said, you're doing things you don't understand. You should be glad you didn't get caught up in some bullshit. You don't know what this herb means and that herb means. We study this. We talk about this. We've been given a mandate to do this. So in our last meeting, it was 5 women, and they said it's new moon. It's the new moon. I'm sorry, full moon. We should come together and do rituals. And it was considered until I said, we haven't really sat down and taught you how to do rituals. Because here's the first thing you have to know about rituals. Every last one of us has to have the exact same mindset, or it will become chaos, and the universe will see chaos. We're already living in chaos. We're saying to her, we accept the chaos. And she'll say, okay, I'm out. Go ahead. We cannot go to her like our enemies, because they live in the chaos. We want to unify. We want the masses to unify when they come together and do rituals. So what we said to them is, we're going to put a class together where everybody can learn and look at the foundations of how to do a ritual. Because the reason why our rituals work is because me, Naniwaya, and Okima, I am Okima, we are of the same mind. We have discussed this. We have decided this is what we talked about. We look at the history of when this happened before. We look at the herbs that needs to be played into it. It's not just about going into it and running around some fire and calling out and going, woo, woo. It's not about that. That's mocking the universe.
Chief Wahoo. You know, are you familiar with a cat out of Atlanta named Bobby Hemmett?
Yep.
I was listening to Bobby Hemmett one time, and he talked about the artists, the singers and stuff. They were kind of superheroes for us in the, like comic book characters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Those are artists. That's what our artists were.
Yeah.
And I got what he was saying there. But then I started thinking, and I started listening to a lot of artists, especially artists, way back. And there was this group, and I'm sure everybody's heard of it, and you just sparked this question. Are you familiar with a group? Are you familiar with a cat named Michael Jackson? I mean, I don't know. Some Negroes are into Barry Manilow, and they like.
I like Barry Manilow, but yeah, I know who Michael Jackson is.
I know how shines are, but Michael Jackson. I mean, everybody knows them as a Jackson 5, but it's not. A lot of people aren't familiar with them when they were this group called the Jacksons. It was a time when they could, make their own music and produce their own music and stuff.
Yeah.
And they some of the baddest stuff you will ever hear, but it's not really put out. And I'm thinking if Bobby Hemmett was saying these people are superheroes, are avatars, mm-hmm. people to look at I'm not saying look at Michael Jackson, when he died,
Right.
from that bad to when he died. No.
Right.
But I'm saying what these cats were saying, wake up everybody, give more power to the people, these messages that I'll take you there, all that. These messages that were given to us and we obviously didn't listen to it. How does that play into the ritual? And here's an example. There's a song by the Jacksons called, and you just reminded me of this. There's a song by the Jacksons called Let Me Show You the Way to Go.
Oh, yes.
And in the song, Michael Jackson says something that's off the hook. And I think these cats be trying to put messages through, but we don't get it because we're controlled by these record companies and stuff.
We are now.
And this cat said, we just have to think like one, and shit'll change. In that song, Let Me Show You Way to Go, listen to that song. It's a cold song.
Yeah, I've heard it.
Said we can think as one. Thinking as one is being all on the same page.
On the same thing.
That's something that we try to avoid. Why is that so hard for us to do?
Because we've been taught to be individuals. We've been taught to think individual. We've been taught to think that what we should do is work for to get our house and car and our 3.2 kids, our sheepdog, and our white picket fence. How do I know this? Because that's exactly what I went to work for. Sheepdog. I had a big ass sheepdog. That's the American way. Hold up.
You explain that to me because I'm not into the dog thing. And everybody what is that?
Well, I do plan to have, when I get my land, I plan to have me about 4 or 5 of them.
Okay, I can see if you got land and they, on the land. But these little dogs that look like toys, what's up, guys?
But they're status symbols now. I've never had a dog for a status symbol. All my dogs were working animals. I had a sheepdog because it was a protector to my children. To the point where when people visited me, they had to ask for permission to go to the bathroom to get past my children's bedroom. A dog should be a working animal. Period.
Breath of life. Explain how we are the breath of life.
Well, I thought I did. Well, the Bible talks about breathing the breath of life into, Adam and Eve. But actually, if you look at it, that's why he said, do not eat of the fruit of the tree of life, because we're the tree of life. We're the roots and the fruit. That's why it talks about us in the Hopi and the Chata actually came through the ground. That's why we call autochthonous. So the breath of life is given. We keep the life of this. Oh, man, I wish. See, if I had been asked that question, I would have brought my scientific documents. So in other words, we're talking about how the CO2 goes up into the atmosphere, and now we got a toxic we got an atmosphere that's into global warming, and the planet is beginning to warm up because the breath of life comes from Aboriginal people. It doesn't come from these off-worlders. So I'm going to talk about this in depth so that we'll understand it. But they can't give life or breathe life into the atmosphere because they weren't created to do that. We were put here to do that. We came through the soil, like all the plants that give off, oxygen. Everything that comes from the soil gives off and emits that which it is supposed to when it goes up into the atmosphere. So what you've got now, when you talk about the breath of life, is you've got less and less of that breath going up into the universe. I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I don't usually talk like this, but let's look at the Chinese and let's look at the Japanese. First of all, they're hybrid aliens. So you've got people with alien DNA who were not put on this planet, who have become abundant on this planet, and they are not breathing life back into the planet.
Oh, okay.
See, they can't be they're what we call, and that's if you read the Paris Agreement, I think it talks about the toxic DNA. They're toxic DNA because they are truly not from here. They are, in fact, the Anunnaki. One of the things the Anunnaki talks about is how they have to clean themselves because they have mixed with the aliens called the grays and the whites. They are literally aliens from another planet or space station. So they have made it with them, and then they made it with us. You see? So that breath of life is becoming less and less and less on the planet. What does this alien do? He's de-seeded the planet. He's poisoned the well. He's taken the seed of our people and tainted it. And the sperm, he's tainted that also. So now that breath of life is getting less and less and less. So Mama Earth is getting ready to cleanse it.
Let me, because a lot of people ask me, why do you have her on there? She talks so crazy. And
that's why I was reluctant.
No, it's because we don't know. We don't know. We're taught all this other stuff, and there's things that we don't put together. So when you talk about hybrids, when you talk about people are born or mixed with other species or entities, I want everybody to go check out this dude named Phil Schneider. Phil Schneider, Schneider. Check this cat out. Check out his story. Check out his body. Check out his hands. Check him out and listen to what happened to him when he went into one of these underground bases. When you see him and when you check the dude's story out, you'll understand that Deborah is like 100 years ahead of the rest of us in this field. Not all these people are people. You live in a whole universe. You think we're the only ones here? You're sadly mistaken. That we live amongst other entities. Many of you get with them. Many of you love them. Many of you will choose them over your mama.
Yep.
Can I get a witness?
Oh, yes. And let me tell you something. These naysayers, many of you who have gone to this church, some of these so-called pastors who look like you and those that don't look like you, they have injected their DNA sperm in your sons. Seriously. And that's and if I think that let me calm down. Let me slow down. For example, this lady the lady who talked about COVID-19, the African woman, they are now shunning her because she talked about DNA sperm. Come on now. She talked about that alien sperm. I'm sorry, alien DNA sperm. She talks about it. I was shocked. I said, oh my gosh, there's somebody else that knows. There's a lot of us that know. It's difficult to come out and talk about it because our people have been so indoctrinated to believe that we're all the same. I had to say that to a professor who said, well, you shouldn't talk like that because we're all the same. And I said, look, are you crazy? Look at us. We don't look at all alike. Their hair is straight. Ours is kinky. Their skin is pink. Ours is it's brown or black or whatever you want to call it. Back then, I didn't really know that we weren't black. Look at our noses. Look at our lips. Our phenotype is totally different. How in the hell can you say we're all the same? Look at that Chinese and that Japanese. You tell me from what tribe that their phenotype come from.
Crickets.
Exactly. Because he didn't come from us. We don't have flat, round heads and slanty eyes. Our Aboriginal people don't. You might find some of us with that now because we've been mixed with those hybrids. When you go back and you look at the original people, they don't look like any original being. Look at Zuckerberg. Just take a look at his picture and see if he doesn't look like some of those whites and the grays with their eyes. He looks exactly like them. And let me tell you something else that'll show you that who they are. They can never create anything natural. Everything they create is artificial intelligence. You know why? Because they're artificial intelligence. Now, you want to really talk about it? You really want to think I'm crazy? It would be crazy for you not to even think so. These people can't create anything natural. That's why they're good with artificial intelligence, because that's who they are.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because this is what baffles me. Because I don't want to just go around cussing people out. So since all they create is artificial intelligence, why is it that all we love, we want, is artificial intelligence?
Because we don't know our power. We don't know that we are the intelligence. And my daughter talked about this when she was born. She was wide awake. We talked about how smart she was, how alert she was. But before it was over, her intelligence began to go down. We figured out they had given her some sort of vaccination when she was young. She didn't graduate high school till she was 22 years old. But when she tapped into the universe, and this is what she talks about in her lecture, her natural intelligence kicked in. So she started doing what they call DNA. My daughter started doing artwork, and somebody told her, "You actually did 3D artwork with a paintbrush?" She said, "Because it just comes to me naturally now." We have a natural intelligence that they don't have.
I think that's the biggest sham school. I mean, and this is what I mean about us. No. This is what I mean about African Americans. Your mama went to school. Your grandmama went to school. Your great grandmama probably didn't go. That's why she was so smart.
Mm-hmm.
We should find her and find out what she did. The grandmothers and grandfathers that didn't go to school, we should really check them out. This is why I'm saying you can't be looking to Africa. You can't be looking to Hebrews. You can't be looking to Muslim.
Mm-mm.
For your people right here in front of you.
They are. Right here.
Yeah, so I mean, seriously, I walk around this city every day, and what I see with the so-called Negro,
we have no idea. Let me tell you something. We have no clue of what's walking on this planet. We really don't. There's a whole bunch of shit going on this planet. And Mama Earth is getting ready to cleanse it. I'm telling you, you better be prepared.
So what must we do to get prepared or be prepared?
You know, that's very difficult because I know what I must do, and I must inform the people, and that's what I do. I do my work. I do. That's what I do. And when we call out to those people who have come to our meetings, they're coming to the meetings. That's what they do. And when they call me, they say, "We're so glad because we didn't know where we were going to go or what we were going to do." They hear the call to come out, but there are some who just hear it and they don't want to do it. And I can't tell you about them. There's some, I've said many times that I was taken out of the world. You know, I gave up my car. I gave all that up because I knew there was something higher. But let me tell you something. I want to go back to these so-called leaders who don't get it. These so-called masses that you refuse to give your hard-earned 10, 25 years to, they'll make it out of here before you do. Because they're telling me, we're ready. Thank you, sister. We've been looking for a place to come. These sisters, when I said, you know, we really need them to donate, to help us. And we are going to ask for donations. But you know what we all did? We came out of our own pockets and said, let's put these pamphlets together. Let's get out there in the streets and start pulling in the people who don't know who they are. And you got to see these pamphlets. These women came together, and you want to know what it's asking these people? Did you ever hear your grandmama was part Indian? Know what the answer to that is, sir? Then more than likely her mama is Indian. And if her mama, are you Indian too? Simple stuff like that we're putting together and going out there. I just bought a table and a big microphone and and speakers with my money. And I'm going out there and I'm going to the masses because that's who she's calling right now. And if you think your little 10 years of knowledge wasn't meant to be spent on them, you're wrong. It was for them. And these women that are coming to this group and this organization that you and I are working with, they're ready. They're poor just like me, but they're putting their time and they're putting their all in it. Deborah, what do we do next? I know I got an idea. Oh, let's do this. And we got together in this Tuesday. This Friday, when we have our next coordinators meeting, we will be prepared to have all these flyers. We're going to ask people to give us donations to print these suckers out because each one of us have a state and a city that we're going to set up a table and start putting this information out to the masses. We're going to do it.
If you had the support of, let's say, what's the cat name who was scamming everybody? What's that cat name? I mean, they dogging them now, but I'm like, why are you guys dogging them now? You made them rich.
Who are you talking about?
What's the cat name? Dr. Umar Johnson.
Oh, Umar Johnson.
And it seems that a lot of us see what we're saying, and people will call us kooks. I understand. I know people call me fucked up all the time. I get it's cool. But they would give $1 million to a cat like this. And then when they finally realize that they got dogged out, now they want to talk about him. Mm-hmm. Why? You made him what he is. So when people like you come up and say, hey, we need donations to get us help, like you got to go out and get tables and all this stuff. And I know you got to come out of your pocket, but if we had hands, it wouldn't be a problem. What is going to stop that?
The only thing that can stop it is the people themselves. They're going to have to see the truth and they're going to have to respond to it because nothing else has worked. Nothing. They're still trying to kill us off. They have killed off an abundance of us and we still pretended, oh, they can't kill us off. Yeah, okay. That's right. It's in a cloud of smog. They're running over our inheritance to try to destroy us. Let me tell you something. They've destroyed most of the Aboriginal people there. They've destroyed most of the animals there. And if you don't believe that these people or these beings are not hybrid aliens, they are one of the few people who will take animals and human beings, hang them up, skin them alive, and eat off of them while they're alive. You really want that? Because when we're done and Mama Earth is finished purging this planet, that's who you're going to be left here with. Really, that's who you're gonna be left here with. And I asked this in my my lecture. When I started reading, I said, damn, it's a lot of stuff I had to learn in this research. And there's gonna, because when the Anunnaki have purged their people, we're gonna be left with those same people who was killing our children, sucking our blood, doing all that shit to us. And I don't want to be here for that. So I'm gonna do my job. I'm going to the masses. That's where I'm going. If I have to give up a car and everything else, I'm gonna do my job. Because you know what? I don't want to be left with them. Like I asked some people on Facebook when they were, when they were calling me crazy and telling me you're a false prophet. I went through all this ridicule for 25 years. They're not alone. They're not the only ones that our people turned against. My people, look, I've been poisoned, shot at, ridiculed, kicked in the ass. I've all that shit. I have. But my mission didn't change just because my people are stupid. They were at the time. They're coming together. So I wasn't giving this mandate to my people just because my people were perfect. I was giving it because they're not perfect. And one of them said, our people are mentally ill. I thought to myself, nigga, and you not? Did we not suffer the same bullshit with them? Didn't we? Hell yeah.
The same.
Did we not suffer it with them? We did. We cannot cannot use our people as an excuse to not do the right thing. We can't do it anymore.
Okay, so just to be clear, I just want to make this clear. You as an individual, you're only here for a certain amount of time, and you're shooting through and you're giving all this information and you're trying to let the people know, hey, this is what's happening. This is what's happening to us. And like you say, you get kicked in the ass, shot at, dogged out, blah, blah, blah. What does that do to you? But you say your mission hasn't changed.
It hasn't changed.
So what does that do to you going through life? You're transversing through life. You're an infant, you're a teenager, you're an adult. What does that do to you going through life?
Well, if we start back to the beginning of my life, I had a very tumultuous life. As a matter of fact, my life was very much like my people. My mother was an artist, and she was a teacher to the people, and she treated the people, but they were jealous of her. So her sister and her niece murdered her. They murdered her because they were jealous of her and they hated her. And she had another niece who also constantly narrated lies about her. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you that my mother was some saint, but she was who she was. And she taught the masses. They murdered her. Then after that, her sister who murdered her, I had to live with my mother's murderer all my life. Knowing that she had murdered my mother. And my psychiatrist asked me, how did you feel listening to your mother die for 3 or 4 days? And I had never thought about that. And I said, you know what? I don't know how I feel, because each time I stood outside myself to watch it happen. That's how I had to cope with it. So if you're asking me how we cope with shit, we learn to cope.
So wait a minute. You lived with a person who killed your mother?
All my life until I got grown.
What was how did she act towards you?
She was vicious, mean. I used to get tied up to poles, beaten in my face, especially if I ever tried to talk about my mother. And if anybody who knew she was my mother came along and said, oh, you look just like Lollipop. You're Lollipop's daughter. I couldn't say anything. And they were quickly hushed off. because it was not something that was supposed to be talked about. See, that's what happened to our American Indian people. I know why the universe called me to this work, because I lived it. I know why she called me. My brother and I were separated, not physically, but he had to be my cousin in order for that. We had to grow up as cousins, not brother and sister. That has put a wedge between me and him that I don't think will ever, ever be fixed. My brother hates me because he feels like I was the one who was honored through it all, because the murderer took me in.
You're fucking kidding.
Sickness?
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not. This is a true story. This is a true story. All the shit I can tell you that my family, they stole my inheritance. I literally listened to them bargain my inheritance away right in front of my face when I was 12. And there was nothing I could do. My clothes, my grandfather had left land, all of that. They, in front of my face, gave it away. And then when I got older and asked for it, I was threatened. They told me they would kill me. Do you know how many times they have even had my brother to come against me to kill me? Oh, y'all know what our people have gone through because I've experienced it personally. So when somebody tells me you don't know what you're talking about, I do know what I'm talking about, because I not only experienced that thing in my life, I'm experiencing it in my people's life. I know what it's like to have your land stole out right from under you. They literally negotiated my shit out of my life right in front of my fucking face.
So look, y'all, when you hear me going in hard on African Americans and all these Negroes that try to be all these foreigners, this is one of the reasons why we do some dumb shit to each other and expect Jesus to come.
And these was church going folk.
Amen.
And everybody at the church knew what they had done. Everybody. It wasn't a secret.
See, you don't know Jesus. Amen. Yeah, them are the worst people I ever met in my life, church people. And if some of you guys are in the chat who are church people, I don't care. I think the church has, they have dogged the so-called black community out. And okay, let's talk about that church. Talk about the ritualness in the church and how those things that happen to you, how they're blown up a million times with everybody in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Because those same types of things that happen to you happen to most of us.
Gee, I don't know what I can say to you except that the rituals of the church are to just like this planet is to keep things hidden, because you have to keep it hidden. I mean, none of it's true. There's nothing a part of it that's true. I mean, I don't know how to explain the answer to that question, Carrie. I really don't.
No, I mean, because this is okay. So we're in this COVID-19 thing, and Jesus ain't showing up yet, and he's not going to show up. But we put all our energy, we put all our money, we sacrifice our sons and daughters to this. I know mothers that tell their children, I'm going to pray that you don't prosper because you won't accept the load.
Oh, yes. Yes. You want to know something? I did that. When I was in religion, I did that same prayer. That's the fucking ritual. You're right. I see where you're going now. Yes. And I hate to admit it, but I did. I mean, think about the way I was raised. I was raised by crazy people. How could I think any other way but crazy? You know, and that's...
What does that do? Okay, when you talk about ritual, when a mother, a womb bearer, prays to some devil that her kids don't prosper, what does that do to them?
Well, it creates first of all, I'll answer it like this, because when I started to come out of it, I'll never forget my children said to me, when we were growing up, you always said you could do anything. But then later you would say, you can't do that. You see the contradiction? That's the ritual. The ritual is in constant, keeping us in constant contradiction. As a matter of fact, I wrote a 2-page poem called The Constant Contradiction. Because what do? We go home, we teach our children how to fail. We tell them they can learn. They tell them they can be the best of what they can be. We teach them how to fail, and then we tell them to go to church so that a ghost can come in and fix their shit.
Amen.
That's the ritual.
Me and my mother never on that church shit. She told me one thing when I was young. She said, if you can explain why you don't have to go to church, you don't have to go. My brother and sister was like, motherfucker. They were pissed off because I explained it, because she couldn't answer the questions that I was asking, and I was 7 and 8 years old. You know, because the shit was bullshit back then.
Yeah.
And what you just said about the contradictions and the rituals, somehow that plays in, you know, that plays into each other, you know?
It does. Because the contradiction is so obvious too. When I got fed up, that this calling that I have started in the 80s. Well, it probably started before then, but I started responding to it, as my knowledge, in the 80s. And now I'll never forget when I was asking, when I got fed up in Detroit, in my big living room in Rosedale Park, because it wasn't about not having money. It was about because I was just so fucking unhappy. And I cussed God from A to Z and Jesus and his mama, expecting that if I did, then, you know what they say, if you cuss God, you'll die. Because I thought, well, then this is my easy way out. You know, and I just let God have it. And I said, if you fucking don't show up, I'm done with your ass. Because you promised this and you promised that and blah, 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 and all that kind of shit. Nothing, you know, after I went in and cried and boo-hooed and talked about all this, you know, the shit and so on and so forth. You know, months later, that being that ended up spending time with me for 3.5 years said to me, Deborah, it gave me an answer. It was like my whole head had opened up and this information came in and says, why do you keep planting in someone else's garden, expecting a harvest in yours?
Damn!
That was like that answered every fucking question I ever had. Because it was like every fucking question. There's no supernatural. Why would you do that? Why would I go and plant? Why would I go and tell the pastor, I'm going to give you $50 and then I'm going to hope my rent is paid? Nigga, pay your rent.
I just want Jesus.
Why would you plant in somebody else's garden expecting a harvest in yours? I couldn't make that shit up.
Inalienably human. See when we come up with these words. I dig it though. He wants to know where he can donate, and I'm going to show you right now, because this sister, seriously, she's trying to do some stuff, y'all. You know, at least, pay for one of her classes. That's nothing. And these are the kind of people we have to help out and support, because they're trying to do it. Because listen, she said she's poor. She's been poor all her life, so she don't know what else to be, but she's trying to build some shit. She's not trying to buy a car. She's not trying to buy no grills for her teeth.
Which would be a help.
I know you want some, huh? You want that gold shit on you. I know you do. Support this sister, man. Damn, she trying, y'all. And ain't that what we supposed to do when somebody's trying to help us? Huh? And she's this far and don't really get no help. Y'all go help Umar Johnson. Y'all go help all these motherfuckers that don't do shit. They just talk nice and they have that nice diction and and that's the shit we support.
Yeah.
And other people look at us like, these motherfuckers are dumb. We don't support nothing that tries to teach your children who they are. Nah, we don't want that. We'll go support other people. We'll do other things. Support this sister, y'all. There's her email. There's her contact information. She gives classes. And listen, and this is another thing we better get on as far as indigenous people here in America. We better get on this natural kick. Because we in all this bullshit that other people, this artificial intelligence, and you can tell when the Moors and the Hebrew Israelites and all these cats speak, they not speaking from what their grandmamas and granddaddies told them.
Right.
They're speaking what other people told them. And you guys fall for it. And then when we tell you you're assholes for doing that, we're wrong. Nah, boo, we ain't wrong. Find your people. Find your grandmothers and grandfathers. Why were you on the money in 1860s? You have to start asking yourself that. If you don't know, ask your children. Because the bullshit you teaching them, they know is bullshit. That they're not wayward. They're not trying to hear. They're here for something. Yeah. Everybody's here to do something, including you. Because you don't do it, don't get pissed off at other people who are doing it. Go to the HindsignProject.org. Check out one of her. I mean, I've been to a couple of her classes. They off the fucking hook. It got me changing around the way I think. And the way I think is, listen, we're the indigenous people here of America. What we doing? Fuck a basketball game. Fuck a football game. Fuck scandal. What are we doing? Because see, in 200 years, either they're going to say, oh, they were a nice Negro. They were nice. They were good Negroes. Or we're going to be here to tell our own story.
Right.
So check this sister out at the HindsightProject.org or contact her at 734-743-1708. Support the sister. I mean, support the people who are trying to help out.
Yeah.
Who are trying to make a better way for us. I mean, aren't we tired of supporting the people who don't give a shit?
And it ain't always got to be money. Donate. Go to the website. Donate a table. Donate the things that we need. Donate printing materials. We just want to get the shit out to the masses. That's what I don't want people to think, oh, give us $1 million. Oh, you could give us $1 million. I'm not telling you not to. But we need to get to the people. Think of that. They need stuff to get to the people. That is our goal.
You don't want $1 million because all you're gonna do is buy a Cadillac, some chicken wings, all that stuff. Deborah, your closing words.
I love my people, and I'm glad that I went through the process so that I could be here in the time of purging and healing. That's where I am with that. Well, thank you.
I want to thank you for coming on and sharing this information with us, because I'm tired of hearing the bullshit. Remember, here's the sister's information. Here's the sister's information on the screen. Let me put it up again so you guys can go. I mean, at least go check out what she's saying. Check out what this sister talking about. There's her information on the screen, so you all have it. You all see it. Check her out. Ask her what she needs, because I know most of us, she probably can build a house with most of us have in our garages. Seriously, you know how we hoard stuff. We'll buy something Monday and forget we have it Wednesday. So support the sister, y'all. Come on. Deborah, I want to thank you for coming and hanging out with us tonight. I appreciate it. And to the chat room, check out a cat named Phil Schneider. Check out when he talks about the fight he had with the people from outer space. And when you see his body, because he's going to show you his body. Here's an example. Here's an example. This is what I learned today. Everybody's up on that Jeffrey Epstein thing, right? So this has been going on since I can remember.
Yeah.
This has been going on since I was 10. There's a lawyer down in Florida who was telling us this in 2015, the information now. 5 years later. This is how we roll. We don't want to hear it, all that. You a conspiracy theorist and all that. This cat was telling you everything that's going on now, and all these people, Barack, all of these cats. They're monsters, y'all.
They are monsters.
Oh, you want to love and kiss everybody in the mouth. Go check out this cat named Phil Schneider and check out what he says about this fight he had with these beings from outer space and what they did to him. He's dead now because he was talking too much. Check this cat out. And what she's saying about these Anunnaki and stuff, I don't know about the Anunnaki. All she's saying to me, when she say Anunnaki, she's telling me something from outer space.
Yeah.
I don't know who they are. I don't know that. Maybe many of you do. I don't. But check out this cat named Phil Schneider. He's all over YouTube. He's been dead for about 10, 20 years now. But he talks about the same thing she's talking about. And what these people are here doing. I don't even call them people, whatever they are.
They're not.
And many of us, because we're dumb, come on, let's just be honest about it. We're not trying to be better. We mate with these people. We love them. We give them our paychecks because we love everybody. Check out what this cat say, and check out if the people that you don't run into on an everyday basis don't connect with what he's talking about. Because we being wiped out. We being wiped out. And all y'all know it. So we have to do something different from what we've been doing. I don't have all the answers. Deborah doesn't have all the answers. You guys doesn't have all the answers. But at some point, we got to come to a happy medium where we can share information. What you know, share it with us. You have an open platform right here. Give information. Share. That's one of the first things you're taught in kindergarten. Share. You can't eat the whole sandwich, give half to somebody else. And this is what she was talking about the chiefs and all this, what we're doing. They've turned away from that. They've been ritualed away from that.
Yeah.
On everything for themselves. And you can't have everything to yourself. That ain't how it works. So I want to say, Deborah, again, thank you.
Welcome. Okay.
I want to, the chat, you guys have been off the hook. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next time. Hang on, Deborah.